Hello, welcome back to the garden. It's early July. I think it's been quite a long time since I've shown you around the Polytunnel, and as you can see, it's definitely giving off jungle vibes at the moment. I've spent a little bit of time this morning just doing a little bit of clearing up at the front. I had planned on kind of leaving all of my salad and other bits and pieces down there, like the spinach. I was just letting them kind of grow wild. I've got a sorrel down here. And I kind of thought, just leave everything and let it self-seed. It will attract pollinators in. But I think because it's starting to fall all over the place and it's not allowing enough light to get around my other plants, that it's time to do a little bit of tidying up in here. As you can see, I've got the tomatoes either side. They are so leggy. They're always really leggy like this in the Polytunnel because I just don't get enough light, but I never give up with tomatoes. I'm always hoping for that one year where we have, you know, even better weather than we'd already had the last kind of month or so. But the last couple of weeks now, it's been quite cold, not very sunny at all, so it's definitely time to kind of start taking out things that I'm not going to be harvesting anymore. So I'm going to get on with that, and then I'm going to give you a tour of what's growing in here at the moment and how everything is looking. A few of you have asked how my onions down on the patio are doing, so I'll show you that at the end, and I'll also give you an update on kind of the side garden and my new raised beds with kind of what it looks like at the moment. I've got a couple of cucumbers that need to be planted today as well. And I think we're going to have to start giving these cucumbers a feed because they're just kind of not growing as quickly as I thought they would. Also, I can't get down this side of the Polytunnel at the moment because I've got my potted tomatoes in here. All my mini bells are outside and they are looking amazing. So make sure you wait until I show you those. But these ones here just weren't doing very well at all. So I brought them back in and this is where they've stayed. But I think maybe when I make a bit more space in here, I can move them kind of around, or potentially they might get evicted. Not too sure, but yeah, I've got at least half an hour's work here to do, so I'm going to get on with that and I will catch up with you in a minute. So that's the last of the salad. I need to sow some more, but this stuff had all bolted. It all tastes bitter, so I can't save it. And I think I just need to let the light come in rather than let it set seed. I definitely think it looks brighter already in here, and I think my plants are really going to enjoy the extra light around them, but also that airflow for sure. So I've now got 3 more cucumbers to plant in the ground, and these ones are pretty big. These are Diva. I've already got a Diva just here, and they should have gone back in when we had that heat wave, but it was so hot in here that I would come in for kind of 5-10 minutes, or probably not even 5 minutes. I'd just kind of come in, water what needed, and then get straight back out again because it was so hot. So as you can see, these definitely need to go in the ground. I'm going to be putting one here. I've already got a string. This was where I had a melon. I bought it from a garden centre. It was called Honey Bun. I put it in there and it just never took off at all. It was really unhappy in here. So I'm going to be putting a Diva in that place. I'll be putting one down there in the corner and then one in between here. But it's really interesting. I've already got a Diva in the ground now and it's much smaller than this one. So it'd be interesting to see how they grow. We love cucumbers in the house, so we can't get too many. So I'm hoping that we're going to get a really good harvest this year. Let's talk about the peas first. When I first put them in, I was really worried that it was too late and that it was going to be way too hot in here. A couple of people messaged me and said, yeah, it's definitely too hot in here. They've had peas grown in the Polytunnel before and they didn't do very well. So I can only base my experience from this year, because I've never actually grown peas before. I've always grown mange two in the past, so I've never let them get this big. So I've had quite a lot of them already, but if I'm honest, they never made it to the kitchen. I'd just come up here and just eat them when I was up here, but now I've left them just to fatten up on the plants, dry out, so I can now harvest them. But I am so pleased. The variety was early onward. So if you have a look here at this one, there's absolutely loads in there. There's, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 peas in there. But I don't know if I'm going to grow this variety early onward again, or if I'm going to grow peas again. I've definitely got loads of seeds I'll be able to share and keep if I decide to change my mind in the future. But I don't know if it's just much easier to grow mange two. Mange two, you don't have to wait for them to fatten up or anything. You can harvest a whole pod and then just chuck them in the freezer. So I am wondering if that is what I am going to do next year. If you've got any varieties of mange two that you can suggest or recommend growing, I'd be really interested. I know you get some varieties that do grow quite tall, so maybe that will be good for next year, because they did kind of, once they got to the netting, they did, well, a few of them did go higher, but not many. So I think it was a bit of a waste of space at the top. So let me know. What I'm going to be doing now over the next week or so is taking all of these out. I'll keep the pods just to continue drying, but a couple of them now are starting to go mouldy because it's much more humid. It's not very warm now, so they'll be coming out. And then I think those tomatoes that I showed you at the beginning of the video that were meant to be outside might just go in here or something. But if you can suggest anything else that I could plant, let me know. And now let's move on to the tomatoes on this side, and they are Gardener's Delight. They are very leggy, as you can see, and I've already mentioned, I don't take out the side shoots just because it's one of those jobs I never get round to. But because they get so long and kind of gangly in here, I don't really think that it makes much difference in terms of light getting to the fruit. And I believe studies have been done, and actually it doesn't really make any difference to your harvest. It's just getting the light to the tomatoes, and as I said, they're not hidden or anything, but all of them have developed tomatoes on, and to be honest, they probably haven't had as much water as they should have done. So over the next couple of weeks, now we've got fruit on, maybe I'm gonna just give them a little bit of extra care, start giving them a weekly feed, because I've not done that yet. Now to this side of the tunnel, we have 8 Yellow Delight tomatoes. These are little plum tomatoes, which I absolutely love to grow. Probably one of the main reasons that I love to grow them is they like me. So they will grow nicely for me, and I always get a harvest. They're very sweet, perfect for the freezer, and great for salads too, because they're really little. So very, very tasty. The best thing about this crop this year is that these are grown from 2019 saved seeds. The parent seeds, which were probably, you know, a lot older because they were from a commercial grower's seed packet, they didn't do as well, and I think I only got about 2 or 3 that were big enough to be able to be planted at the same time, but they never went in the ground. I was going to kind of grow them both next to each other and compare it, but I forgot, so that didn't happen. But I'm really pleased with these. I've got fruit coming on almost all of them now, so that is very exciting. When I look at the fruit as well, it does resemble a Yellow Delight, so that also gives me good confidence that the saved seed is true. A tomato plant actually doesn't really cross-pollinate very easily with other things because it is self-fertile, so when the flower opens it pollinates itself, which means 99% of the time, as long as it's not an F1 hybrid, it will come true to seed, but you never really know as well, so it's always quite fun. But yeah, that is this side. Really pleased with these, and yeah, I can't wait for the harvest. Onto the cucumbers now. Obviously I've already mentioned the divas, the 3 that I've just put in now, and the one that is growing here. Hopefully they establish really nicely, but this one has already got some fruit starting to set, so we'll see how they do. But then we go on to the best of the bunch, these are Pissandra. Now these cucumbers are doing really well. They've got a couple of aborted fruits lower down, but they have set and they are starting to grow now. So hopefully if I make sure I keep on with giving them a good water, that they are going to grow really nicely. Interestingly, the Pissandras are an outdoor variety, so we'll see how they do in here. Obviously they're growing nicely and they're quite happy, and then unfortunately down the very front I have got a crystal lemon. A friend of mine gave me that, and I know it's not doing very well for them, but it's also not doing very well for me. So it's really interesting. Sometimes we get really kind of carried away with the fairy tale of growing vegetables, or the fantasy of growing vegetables, and we look in the seed packets and we see all these amazing varieties, like the cucamelon for instance, you know, or all these really interesting varieties that are meant to be, you know, taste like lemon or be round or whatever, you know, and we get really excited, but actually they never grow very well, and it's probably why they're not very popular. If they were amazing at growing and gave you loads and loads of harvest, we'd probably already be growing them. So it's always nice to try a different variety, but for me, I don't even think I'm going to have any that even grow, let alone be able to save seeds from or buy seeds again. But I don't think that that's one that I would go out of my way to ever grow again, but we could be mistaken. Now they've got much more light around them, it might decide to take off. I'm not sure, but that is the cucumbers. So here we are. This is what it's looking like at the moment. Quite lush actually, but unfortunately with the potatoes, I was hoping that I would be able to do maybe one mow on the lawns every week and really mulch them nicely. We haven't been able to do that at all because it was so hot. So they have only had one full mulch of grass clippings all over them, and actually I would have probably liked a lot more than that. They're growing okay, but they haven't really been earthed up very much, and they weren't buried very deep when they got put in. So it would be interesting to see what kind of harvest I get this year, but this area is going to be amazing. Well, I'm saying next year it's going to be amazing. Hopefully I'm going to be able to really mulch this and work on, you know, building that soil over the winter, so that next year whatever gets put in here is going to do much better, because when we had that hot weather, the ground was just like cracks all over and it was like solid clay. So definitely needs a lot of work on it, but these potatoes are looking so lush. I do also have courgettes. So we've got a courgette here, another courgette, and these two were also from a friend, and the variety of these, which I cannot remember now, I've got a little label here. So these were Striato di Napoli. So those two are there, and then I've got these two here which I bought from a garden centre in a mad panic that I wasn't going to have any to eat. They're called Gemma, and they are F1s, so even if I wanted to, I can't save the seeds on those. And they did go in a little bit later than they should have done, and they're not doing very well at all. I've had loads of flowers on them, but no female flowers by the looks of it, unless they've aborted, and no sign of fruit. So who knows whether it's just not enough light in this area, poor soil conditions, too much heat, went in late, no idea. So it'd be interesting maybe if I grow them again here to see how they do. I'm not sure, but anyway, that's what it looks like at the moment. Not many weeds either, quite happy with that. And then on this side we have all of my blackcurrant plants. They have actually grown so much. I did a video when I actually took the cuttings on these, and people are always asking you know, what they look like now, and I'm really pleased with them basically. So what I've also done is I have planted some chives in between the blackcurrants, and I've also put some thyme down there. So I do, if possible, want to interplant things as much as possible, because you know, having a polyculture rather than monoculture is so much better for insects and pollinators and all of that. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased. But the best thing about this whole area is the tomatoes. So head over. These tomatoes, The variety is Mini Bell, and I can't believe how well they're doing. Just look at the colour of the leaves and comparing them with what I have in the Polytunnel. But look, they are just absolutely full of fruit. I don't think I'm ever going to grow another variety outside because this one is brilliant. It's called Mini Bell, and they are so compact. I put them in one cane, I've tied them on, and they're doing amazingly. They're so compact, but honestly, I can't believe how many I've got on each of these plants. Honestly, I'm so pleased with them, and really interestingly, they got put out at the same time as those other ones, and the other ones just got really moody with being outside. These ones have had semi-shade, possibly less than 6 hours sunlight a day, and they've got so much fruit on. Possibly they will be taken down on the patio once they're a little bit older and they need maybe a little bit more sunlight, but this is definitely a variety that I am going to be growing again. Now onto the pumpkin patch down below. I've got this big hazel here that was coppiced, and it's suddenly, since the rain, taken off and grown loads of new shoots. So what I'm going to be doing, rather than letting it grow and then harvesting it for, you know, plant support or firewood or anything like that, I'm just going to cut it right back, because my pumpkins down here are getting a bit shaded out now. But really pleased with this little kind of ugly pumpkin patch area that I've done. I have mentioned before, I've got a metal raised bed that's going to be going here next year, but I've put these in now to see how they grow. Yeah, I went with grow bags underneath and then wood chip around them with the halos. So if you're interested in seeing how I created that, I did do a video, so I'll put that above in the cards now. But pretty pleased with them. Interestingly, I was a little bit worried a couple of weeks ago because all of these ones here didn't appear to be trailing or anything, and I knew I didn't have any courgettes because I ran out to go and buy some because none had germinated. But really interestingly, the two at the front, which are called Harlequin, are bushy, but they do have fruit growing on them. So I better check about those, because possibly they're a squash that is a bush variety, and in which case that's really interesting. I didn't know that. But I will definitely grow them again because they look pretty nice and apparently they're really tasty. But behind it we have a crown prince. Now this crown prince doesn't seem to be happy at all, and it's not trailing either. So I'm worried if I've somehow got mixed up with the seed packet, because, or not the seed packet, but maybe the labels, because this one here, which is meant to be Harlequin, is definitely not Harlequin. That is a courgette. So I did have one courgette, so very interesting. And then behind, at the very back, I can't remember what this one is. There's no label with it, which leads me to believe that that is also a Harlequin, because I had quite a few Harlequins. And then this one here is a, I cannot remember the type. It might be a mammoth, but that is a big pumpkin, and that is trailing nicely and does have fruit on. So I'm definitely going to have some this year. But yeah, very interesting. And those Harlequins, I'm going to go and read up about them because I thought that they were trailing ones. So who knows? Before we head down to the patio garden where I've got my onions growing in that bed, and I've also got some squash growing, I'll quickly give you an update on this new raised bed area. Nothing's growing in here at the moment, but I have now actually managed to fill up the raised beds. I don't really like spending money on buying in compost. You never know what compost you're going to bring in, or any chemicals and things like that. So I only really ever want to fill my raised beds with homemade stuff, which then takes a couple of years to actually get it ready. But once you have got it filled and the compost is all really nice, you know that it's going to be good to go. But with these, they're now full. So before, they only had brambles and grass clippings in. I've already mentioned earlier that we didn't have many grass clippings this year, but I was very lucky because I found a local rabbit sanctuary that had loads of rabbit hay and straw and bedding that they needed to get rid of. So I very quickly said, yes please, can I have as much as you will give me? They literally said you can have as much as you want, and I went and picked up loads of bags. And I've already filled them up with bags, and I've got loads of bags right there, and I've also got bags down by the back door as well that I need to bring up. So I've got so much, and I'm really pleased with that and very, very grateful that I've been able to get those. But what I've also done is managed to pick up some topsoil just from other parts of the garden that I've been working on. So I've put a layer of topsoil on both of these now, and then I'm kind of heading to kind of these sides here. The one issue with the rabbit bedding is that it's obviously hay or straw or whatever, and it's full of grass seeds. So it's a little bit annoying because it means that wherever I put it, it's going to grow lots of grass. But I'm going with that as being okay in my raised beds because it's not too hard to keep it contained within the raised beds. But I don't think I'm going to be able to use the hay or the bedding on anything like on the ground because it's just going to get out of control. So I will be making lots of new raised beds when I finally get round to sorting out that patch down at the other side of the garden. And there potentially will be more raised beds along here as I go along. So that's definitely something that I'll be doing, but I need to just make sure that all of the hay in the bedding is kept separate and I can keep it contained because I don't want my entire garden being covered in grass. So above me, we've got the Jack B Littorals. They did really well here a couple of years ago and they seem to take off really quickly, much quicker than the ones up in the woodland. They're in a grow bag and they did start looking a little bit yellow. So I gave them a feed yesterday and hopefully they're going to continue doing well and grow really nicely. Unfortunately, by the looks of it, I haven't had any female flowers yet. So no fruit, but fingers crossed they're going to continue doing really nicely and I will get some good harvest later in the year. Here we are at the onion bed, and if I'm honest, it's been a bit of a disaster really because I don't think I'm going to be able to harvest anything worthwhile and anything big enough to eat, to be honest, not even a kind of spring onion really. When I put them in here, it was still quite early in the year and I was hoping that, you know, because I kind of felt that they were in the ground really, but actually looking at it now, we've got a wall behind us and a wall in front, so actually they are in a raised bed. Nothing had been planted in here for a year before it was trees, and you know, at the back here I've got laurel that were cut down and they've started to sprout again, so there probably wasn't very much nutrition in the soil. But when we had that hot weather, I didn't water them enough, to be honest. I kind of felt like I was busy watering and keeping other things alive, that they would be okay, and then I kind of felt like, oh, you know, we had that rain, they're all going to suddenly grow and stuff, but actually they just been a bit of a write-off, to be honest. And yeah, I'm not even going to be able to get a spring onion really out of it. They've also been attacked by slugs and stuff, so they've been nibbled quite a lot. You know, it was a bit of a punt and it hasn't worked really. I also put some in this pot down here and they got just so hot. They were watered like twice a day, but they were really hot, so they can be harvested, but only really for spring onions. So unfortunately my onions this year have just been absolutely rubbish. The last thing that I'm going to give you an update on is my French beans. Now, I planted two varieties here of climbing French beans. This one was District Nurse, and I can't remember the other variety. But as you can see, the District Nurse, which was new seeds, all germinated really nicely and they're starting to climb up. These need to actually be moved now into a more sunny position. But this variety here didn't grow at all. Not even one has germinated. And very interestingly, the ones that I planted just down on the steps there, I've only had maybe one or two germinate. Now, these were actually watered twice a day because it was still quite warm when they went in, and they definitely did have enough water. So I'm wondering if that they just, I don't know, again, you know, who knows why they haven't germinated, but considering I had such a huge amount of seeds put in and only a couple have germinated, I'm going to put that down to either old seed or they just weren't moist enough, because even though I was watering them twice a day, they were still drying out and it was still really hot. And one thing I always like to do with my beans is soak them overnight when I sow them, because if half of the seed gets wet, the underneath stays dry and things like that, it can really hinder the germination. So possibly that's what's happened this year, but these District Nurse have started to grow, so hopefully I'm going to have a harvest of some beans this year. There you go, that is what my garden and polytunnel are looking like in July. You might be wondering why this year I've hardly done any tour videos, and I've not even shown you in the greenhouse really since the winter, but that's just because I've been working on loads of projects, and to be honest, I've not got loads going on. And you know, this isn't the year for my onions, this isn't the year for my potatoes. since leaving and giving up my allotment, I'm trying to, you know, make my garden better and spend a lot of time working on it. But do you know what I mean? It's not really that interesting for you. And when I make these videos, I kind of just feel like, oh, you're probably thinking it's a disaster. But there you go, that's what's going on. And if I can make you feel better that your garden is also the same as mine, you know, because we're just trying to live and get on with other stuff as well, then hopefully I can make you feel better that you're not alone. I've also kind of in the background, behind you, I'm working on a little project at the moment which nearly got finished, and then we had bad weather, so hopefully, fingers crossed, that can be finished over the weekend or whatever, and I can show you that next week. I've been doing work on the patio as well, which, you know, there's not loads going on there, but I've got all of my fruit trees and stuff growing. So maybe when I finish this little project, which is going to be kind of living on the patio, you'll be able to see that. And maybe next week I'll take you into the greenhouse and show you what it looks like. But there you go. Anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed watching today's video. And if this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, I really hope you've enjoyed it. Please hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of all of my latest videos. Also, if you are still watching this at this time, thank you loads. But can you click that like button? Because if you're still watching this now and you click that like button, then YouTube will promote me more. I'll get more views, and then I'll have more time to do loads of projects, won't I? So please do that. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.